show you very, very quickly where do you use that. Why is it so important? So first of all, you cannot develop a successful product if you don't know who you sell it, which most of you did. Okay, most of you came up with a product or service. It came from your mind. It came from your ideas, from your expertise or knowledge or willing to give. But you never checked that before with the people because you didn't know who they are. So you couldn't ask them what they want. And as a result of that, you created a product that might be a fantastic product by just a little bit to the side of what they really want. Just a little bit. I mean, our personal development trainings are the best trainings in the world, I think, in that field, but we cannot get enough people to buy them, not in the quantities we get now when we get you first into the business. So it's not that it's nothing to do with the product, but if I develop the product based on knowing the audience, I will know that personal development is not on the top of your mind right now. On the top of your mind is that you don't know if you can bring enough food on the table or enough to pay the rent next month, so that's a problem. And I need to help you solve that first. Does that make sense? So you develop a product only after you know who they are, and you do the next step, which is asking them what they want, which is we're going to cover in a minute. Okay? But first of all, you need to know who they are. So that's for the product development, important. The second one is how do you message? How do you send them a message? How do you communicate to them? The tone of voice is different if you're talking to a 60-year-old or to a teenagers. Might be the same product, but you communicate totally different. Men and women were already described, right? The pictures that you're going to use in the messages are totally different. The tone of voice, the benefits that you're going to emphasize are totally different. The communication medium. Okay, if you want to contact now kids or teenagers, well, you know, if you will use, for example, advertisement in newspaper, for example, or magazine, it's never going to reach them. Never going to reach them. That's not where they see the information or the advertisement, for example. So that's really, really important. Of course, the choice of words, etc. So that's about the communication. Another thing, referral request. How many of you are asking for referrals, especially after the business bootcamp? You started asking for referrals. Wonderful. So what do you say to people? You say, do you know anybody that I can support him? Instead of telling them, do you know a pregnant woman who is in her third trimester who is open or wanting to deliver a baby without pains? That's a lot more specific, and I can figure it out. If you tell me you're a yoga teacher, I meet you in a networking event, you tell me I'm a yoga teacher, without me knowing what is your target audience, and you ask me, do you know anybody that I can help? I will need to go in my mind and figuring it out. If you tell me that you're working with pregnant women in the third trimester, helping them, to overcome the fear of birth or to help them deliver easily and painlessly, etc., well, then I can figure out if I have that person or not very quickly, and if yes, I will call them. Does that make sense? So it's much, much more effective when you're doing referrals. The building of your expert position is amazing when you are specialized in someone and in some specific problem. I mean, if you right now have, a liver cancer, you're not going to go for a general practitioner to cure you or to help you, right? You will go for a specialist in cancer. Actually, most of you will go for a specialist that is specialized in liver cancer and not in cancer in general. Would you agree? Okay. Now, if you're a woman in their 50s, and if you have liver cancer is not a great example. Let's say that was breast cancer, and just to make it fit the example, then if I'm specialized in breast cancer for women in their 50s, then I have much more chances to get your business than somebody that is just specialized in breast cancer. Would you agree? Okay, so this is really important also to build up this expert position. When you're talking, I'm just giving you some examples. Anybody did Facebook advertisement or tried or thought about it? Okay, so quite a few of you. Facebook advertisement works on demographics. You can actually choose, I want only women, I want only between the age of 20 to 30, and I want them only those that live in Gouda. Point. And it will only give those people the advertisement. So it's a lot cheaper than just saying, well, target everyone that comes on Facebook. Let's see if somebody will pick it up. But that's what people are doing because they don't have a target audience. They target everyone. On Facebook, you will see how much it cost you. As simple as that. Does that make sense? So that's one thing I wanted to mention before we move to the second phase in our marketing strategy. The second one, how many of you have more than one target audience, one market, more than one market? So you're working with big companies, but also with small companies, for example. Okay? How many of you? Wonderful. All right, let me explain that. Okay, let me explain that. You need to understand that you have two types of market. Okay? They are not created equal. I don't care what you think about it. They are not created equal. There's what we call primary market and secondary market. Okay, you want to write down primary market is all those people that are most likely to buy from you and are the easiest to reach. Okay, your primary market is all those people that are most likely to buy from you and are easiest to reach. Those are two factors, most likely to buy from you and easiest to reach. I'll give you a second to write it down, because then you need to look at me again, because it's important. That's your primary market, right? Your primary market is those that are most likely to buy from you and easiest to reach. Are we clear? Your secondary market is everyone else. Your secondary market is everyone else. Please write it down. Primary market, those that are most likely to buy from you and easiest to reach. Then secondary market is everyone else. Where do you start, primary or secondary? Primary. Is it clear to everyone? How many of you it's clear to you that you start with your primary market? Fantastic. When do you go to secondary market? Some people are very excited about it. I didn't say never. There are two cases, okay, two times when you go to the secondary market. The first one is when you're really, 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 really rich. When you're extremely rich, you can move to your secondary market, or when your primary market is over. Okay, if you talk to everyone in your primary market and you talk to everyone, you offered, you promoted, you did everything, and they're over, then it's time to move to market to secondary market. Are we clear? For most of you, it will be never. Yes, for most of it will be never, because most of you will not get to a point that you'll be so wealthy just from that you need to move, and for most of you, you'll not finish that. To give you an example, just to show you, we call those, we have a different name, which is not a market name, but that's the name that I'm using for that. Those people that are most likely to buy from you and are easiest to reach, those are the low-hanging fruits. You know, imagine a fruit tree, and you have the low-hanging fruits. You go beyond, and you say, hey, there's an apple. Hey, there's an apple. There's an apple. It's easy, right? It's easy. You clear? Now, you might have apples on the top of the tree, right? Those are not the most easily reached. Would you agree? Then in order to reach them, you need a ladder, probably. You maybe need a helper. You're taking health risks, insurance risks. You're probably going to fall at one point or another. You might damage the tree, which is damaging your own business. There are so many things that this metaphor is actually good for. You don't want to reach them. Leave them to the birds. Who are the birds? Who are the birds in this example? Your competition. Let them fall out of the trees. Let them get this hard work. You work on the easiest one. Okay? Don't work on the hard ones. It's not worth it. And you have enough around you, for most of you. Does that make sense? So primary market, secondary market, really important. All those of you that are working with small business, big business, you'll have to choose. By the end of this weekend, you have to choose. You work with primary market, everything that we're going to do will be focused on that. Don't waste your time on anybody else. Here's another one that might be very, very important, especially if you have more than one market or you're still hesitating, which one should I choose? Go where the money is. How many of you have the situation that the people that you really want to help can't afford you or can't pay you really? Or really good, or, yeah? So that's quite a few people here. So there's a very simple solution with those people, okay? If you want to work because of your good heart, because it's whatever it is, you want to work with people that can't afford it, you don't build your business around them. You do that in the weekends, on your own free time. You do that as a charity, or you do that as what we call a pro bono. Every lawyer that respects himself or herself will have one day a week or one day a month that they do pro bono work. They work with the less fortunate, and they usually will do it for free. And that's a good thing, but that's not their business. Okay? Imagine that the business is not you, it's somebody else. Would they let you work with people that don't pay or that cannot afford you? No, they won't, and you won't let anybody else. So please, your business is your source of income. You need to work with people that have the money, so go where the money is. Okay? Go for the wealthier clients. Now, it can be just people, I mean, we're working with people that are not wealthy, but we are working with people, we are not going to work with people that are, coming from unemployment, because they can't afford us. I mean, they can come to the business bootcamp, but they will never go further. That's why, when we have students in the business bootcamp, I'm very happy to have students in the business bootcamp, because I can give them a little bit of inspiration, but they will never become students for the Master Entrepreneur. They can't afford it. So in a way, that's a waste of a chair. It would be better for me to do a training just for youngsters one time for free and just get the teenagers there and get them, inspired for 2 days without selling them anything as a pro bono. Does that make sense? We did that with startups. Because again, startups in most cases is the same as thing. So at one point we decided, listen, we cannot really help startups. They cannot come to the next trainings. Most of them, they can't afford it. So let's make a startup bootcamp. And we did a startup bootcamp, I think, 2 years ago. And there was can't remember, probably over 1,000 people. And we didn't try to sell them anything, basically. We just say, listen, guys, this is for you as a gift. Okay, but this is not a business. You understand? Guys, you understand? Okay, remember, go where the money is. Okay, and you can find them. And you can find them, if you're smart about it, you can find them everywhere. Okay, we had this guy that wanted to, he wasn't very educated and he didn't know what he wanted to do in his life, but he wanted to have a business. And I asked him, what do you like? And he said, I like to wash cars. I said, fine, so start car washing. And, but he did this similar course to this, and he realized the target audience, so he decided to wash cars only for wealthy people, and he figured out that, you know, there are certain neighborhoods in the country that are more wealthy than others, like places in Apkoude, Amstelveen, and in the Et Gooi and stuff like that. And he just started to advertise in those places. He put either folders in the houses or on the cars. He only put folders on Mercedeses and Jaguars and stuff like that. And he says, you know, I'm coming to you. You don't have to come to me, because the most important thing for wealthy people is convenience and time saving. So he comes to them with his van, with a team. That was at the beginning. He would charge them, I think, about 50 euros for a car wash, which normally if you go to a gas station, you would pay 6 euros. They were happy to pay him, but he wouldn't take the money unless they would make a contract for a weekly wash for a year. So, you know, you do the calculation. Then he has a reason to come to the neighborhood. He would come to a neighborhood on Wednesday, would be in this neighborhood, on Thursday there. Today he has, I don't know today because I didn't meet him for many years, but he had, the last time I saw him, he had 12 cars, you know, 12 vans with teams that are working. He was just sitting in the office, washing cars in all those wealthy neighborhoods. At one point he kind of went into companies, and he went into the garages and just went to the expensive cars and did the same thing and say, I will come and wash the car while you're working. And he made a business from that. Guys, it's not so difficult. Okay, I'm not going to go more than that. We have students that are giving massages for families in wealthy neighborhoods, and they're making 10,000 euros a month for working 3 hours in the evenings to make that. Okay, so it's possible. It's actually pretty easy, but you need to think this way. Go where the money is. Does that make sense?